Hey, this is John from Alloy 211. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the cheapest out-the-front pocket knife that I found on Amazon. Now, granted, I call it a pocket knife, they call it a keychain knife, so it is very small. It's only about 3 inches long closed with a little less than 2-inch blade, so about 5 inches overall open length. I ran across these a few weeks ago and I saw it was a similar design to the WCB World Class Blades out-the-front knife I did a video on a few months ago, and I thought, well, given that this is relatively cheap at $17.99, let's see how it compares to the also relatively cheap, which is now going to dwarf this, look at that, WCB out the front knife, which is sub $100. Like I said, the design looks similar. It's got the switch on the top, generally similar boxy design. The one thing that I did notice about this as soon as it came in with its exquisite white packaging here, I mean, this is quite the fine box with a number on the end, was that it seemed extremely light, which although the WCB knife is relatively cheap, it is not light. It actually feels pretty heavy for the size that it is. So that did make me a little concerned that maybe the quality on this wouldn't be up to the standards of the other economy out the front knife. But more than anything, I was curious to see if it worked the same way, because it looks like it should. So let's go ahead and pull it open and see how it works. Now, it will require, if you buy one of these, a very small Torx bit to fit these screws. Now, I don't know how universal that is between these, as there is a relatively wide variety of these available on Amazon in the $20 price range. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Now, if you watched my earlier video on the WCB, and we'll go ahead and pull that open here in a minute and take a look at that, you'll see this is actually the same design, relatively. There are a few differences between it, but it uses the same thing. You have a spring-loaded catch here. Go ahead and move that forward. Spring-loaded catch here. This keeps the blade back. Once it moves past that, it goes up. If I can get it to do it. Trying to demonstrate it manually. I guess trying to demonstrate an automatic knife manually is not the easiest thing. But then once it moves all the way to the extended position, this back catch goes down. If I could get it, there we go, all the way out. Well, front catch actually. Front catch goes down and catches the back of the blade and doesn't allow it to go back in. So it's the same design, even has a bar, a springed bar, just like the World Class Blades knife. Now, the blade that is on this honestly seems to be pretty low quality. It just looks like it's been ground down. It's not a very good blade, to be honest. It is relatively sharp though. So hey, that's something. At least it's kind of sharp. A lot of knives, cheaper knives especially that you buy, they are dull. Although the one nice thing about cheaper knives is many times they're made out of crappy steel, so they're not that hard to sharpen. Okay, let's go ahead and pull the World Class Blades knife apart and see how it looks in comparison. Now, the actual mechanism, if you didn't watch the earlier video on this knife, the actual mechanism is the same, but the parts are not. And the quality of the parts is what matters. Because although if you make the part the same, functionality wise, it should function the same. If the part itself isn't of as good a quality, it will probably fail sooner. And there are a couple parts on here that are definitely, other than the blade as well. The blade on the WCB knife I have had no problems with. It's been a really pretty decent knife while I've had it. Let me make sure I've gotten these all out. Although if you did watch the earlier video, you may notice that the finish has worn a bit more on this knife over time. Okay, that's good. Okay, there we go. Now, as you can see, it is the same design. You have a gate here, spring-loaded gate here. Very similar design, if not the same design. It is the same design. But the parts are different. If you look at the spring catch, the mechanism out of the WCB knife, So I will go ahead and pull this off of here, although I don't really like doing this. If you've watched enough of my videos, you know I don't like letting springs go anywhere. And we'll lay that down just like it came out. And as you can see, this is actually a cast or machined part, and it's all integral in one piece. You know, there's even machining up there on the button portion. So this part would take a lot, I won't say a lot to make, but definitely takes some effort to make, and is a good high quality part, and it's a single piece, and that's really nice. Now if you look at the same part on the $20 OTF knife from Amazon, well, this portion is probably a stamped out piece. It is a single piece, so that's good. But then where the actual lever attaches is another piece, and it is, I don't want to say badly welded, but maybe the term shoddily welded, shoddily spot welded on there. So that definitely is a part that over time could break. But the spring mechanism is similar. Obviously it doesn't have the cut in the middle, but it's similar. And something to remember on these knives, all of these knives, even this cheap firecracker knife, is on your spring. Actually probably be easier to show with the knife or with the spring here. The portion of the spring that has the longer tab on it, opposed to the shorter tab, goes on the back. So it's important to remember that. Well, just like that. See, longer tab. Watch me shoot this across the room. Nope, didn't shoot it across the room yet. Oh, almost did there. Although I think there it would have hit me in the face, so that would have been better. And I don't recommend taking these springs off. They're not that hard to get back on, but I guess I could have put my hands underneath the camera so you could see me struggle with it on camera. Oh, I bet if it came off here, it hit the table and maybe it hit the ceiling. Oh, you. Okay. It's not really that tight of a spring, but it kind of wants to dig into your finger a bit there if you get in there. So anyway, back together. And something else I noticed between our very inexpensive OTF knife here at the bottom compared to the other relatively inexpensive OTF knife at the top is the button on the World Class blades, which is something I did point out I think is a failure point on this knife, is at least reversible. If you look, your notch for the release is right there in the middle. So you can reverse it when it starts getting worn. Now, on our cheaper Amazon knife, it is asymmetrical. So you can't just flip it around and put it back in. If it starts getting worn out, it's just gonna wear out and then it'll be broken. But I don't really think that's a big issue for this knife because in all reality, I don't think it'll last long enough for that to break. And maybe, but I would be surprised. Let's go ahead and put it back together now. Zoom in a little bit. There we go. And in order to push the blade back in, you have to lift up that little gate, hold it. You know, probably don't want to push on the tip of a knife with your bare hand. So go ahead and push it back in past that point. Then you take your spring bar, like so, put it in where it goes there. Put your button on, make sure you have it the right way. And then put your side plate on. Maybe change out to the super small bit. Go ahead and tighten it down. 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 One more to go. Tighten it down. Okay. Then pull that out. Oh. And there we go. Well, let's back her off again a little bit. Something else you'll notice if you buy one of these knives is that when you do that, you can tell it just doesn't feel, it feels just a little light. The term I would use is novelty. It feels like a novel thing. it doesn't feel like it is actually going to hold up or endure. It's one of the reasons why I said, although this button could wear out, you know, as you can see on the world-class blades, it is getting little notches dug into it. So, I mean, this could wear out just the same way, but I really would expect something else to fail inside at first. And whereas, I guess we'll put this one back together too. There we go. Whereas, there we go. The world-class blades, the WCB knife, definitely has some durability flaws, such as that button wearing out. And as I said in the other video, if you take it apart much, these screws are also going to wear out. So, which, I mean, don't over torque them and all that. And you can Loctite them in place if you like. You know, always make sure you don't cross thread them, which, you know, I almost did there. Because, you know, you always want to demonstrate the things you don't want to do. Cross-threading screws, over-tightening them. You want to make sure people see you do that, because that way they know that guy's an idiot. Anyway, let's go ahead and get the last one in here. And just pull it forward, and that locks it back into place. There we go. And, you know, hey, maybe tighten all the screws up. It'd been exceptional if I cross-threaded that one in as well. That would have been great. Anyway, like I said, when you open this one though, it feels stout. It doesn't feel like this. Whereas this does, it just feels like it's a novelty. It looks like something that if you, and it feels like something that if you bought it, you wouldn't expect it to last long. And I don't think you really should. And at $20, if you're buying this as a novelty, I guess that's okay. Or if you're buying it as a gift for someone that you think would like that. Speaking of which, always check your local rules, regulations involving OTF knives, because different jurisdictions have different laws governing OTF knives. But if you were to buy this for someone as a novelty, or yourself as a novelty, that'd be fine. I mean, I'd expect it to be something you play with, but you don't, I wouldn't have any expectation of this being used as an actual knife. Like trying to use this every day, it's gonna wear out, it's gonna break. I probably couldn't get a week of actual use out of this knife without breaking it. I mean, maybe, but I really doubt it. Whereas this one, which is a bit more expensive, like I said, sub $100, it kind of depends, you have to look around for different prices, but sub $100, even as a novelty, I would buy this. Because even if you just want it as a novelty, at least this can be a functional knife and can be useful. Whereas our tiny little friend over here may get you to giggle because it comes out automatically. It's not going to be effective as a tool. It's not going to be effective really as anything else other than a giggle. Anyway, if you liked the video, I'd really appreciate if you gave a thumbs up. If you watched some other videos and you enjoyed those too, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. Thanks, and have a wonderful day.